guys, today we're going to learn about the README.md file. So before we get started, I thought it'd be a great idea to learn about what you should include in your README file. So on the screen you'll see that I have one of my personal projects up, and on the left hand side I have the terminal, and on the right hand side I have what it looks on GitHub. So I'm going to be scrolling through the right hand side of my screen through my GitHub repository to show you the things that I included in my README file. So I included the title of my program. I also had information about the licensing, where I can download the repository from. I have authors and contributors. I also have a file list. I have directions on how to run my file and directions on how to run my program once you've cloned it to your local machine. I also have a basic overview of the program, as well as certain bugs that I have not been able to fix yet. Alright, with that said, let's switch screens to learn about how to format a README file. So on the left side of the screen I have a README file, and on the right side of the screen I have it how it shows formatted. So we're going to be going through the README file and comparing it to how it looks on the GitHub account. So at the very top we have heading. There's two ways to format a heading. First way, underneath of your title, you can put 3 equal signs, or you can put 1 pound sign in front of your heading. And on the right hand side of the screen you'll see that they're both exactly the same. And below our heading we have our subheading. There's 2 ways to do this as well. You can put 3 dashes underneath your subheading, or you can put 2 pound signs in front of your subheading. And on the right side of the screen you'll see they're both the same way. Another useful trick that you can do, you can use up to 5 pound signs, and the more pound signs you use, the smaller the text will be. So that's a really useful trick that you can get in Vim as well. Now we'll talk about formatting your text. So when you're editing your readme.md file, you must understand that paragraphs are not how they usually seem. What you'll have to do is to actually mark a paragraph separately from text, you have to put a space between the 2 paragraphs. We have 1 line. Line 12 we have nothing there, but on line 13 we have this is our second paragraph. Now if you look at 17, 18, they look like 2 separate paragraphs, but when you put it on your repository, you'll see that they're put on the same line. Even though in your README file they're put on 2 separate lines, your readme.md file is formatted to take this as 1 full line. But let's say that you want these 2 paragraphs separate, but you don't want to have any space between them. What you can do is you can delete the white space in between the paragraphs, and at the very end of the first paragraph you can put 2 spaces. You can save it and commit it onto your GitHub repository, and you'll see that it'll take these as 2 separate paragraphs, but they'll put it on separate lines. Now let's say you want to bold something. One way to do this is to put 2 asterisks in front and at the very end of the text that you want to be folded. And as you see on the right side of the screen, you can see that this is bolded. And if you put 1 asterisk in front of your text, that'll make it italicized. And you can see on the right side of the screen that this is italicized. Now another common thing that we can use that's really helpful is backticks. You can surround commands or blocks of code with backticks and it'll be put in a gray space. So for a command like ls-a, you can put a backtick in the very front and at the very end. On the right side of the screen you'll see that ls-a is in the gray space as well. But if you want to put in a block of code, you want to use 3 backticks at the very beginning and at the very end of your code. And on the right hand side you'll see that the whole block of code is enlisted in a gray space. So let's say you want to make a bullet point list. What you have to do is you put asterisks followed by a space, then your text. But if you want to use a number list, you just put numbers, period, then a space, then your text. And on the right side of the screen you can see that we have our bullet point list and also our number list. Now I was going to show you how to use dashes, but the README file wasn't working for the dash, so I'm going to skip over that. But this is really useful for formatting your README file. That way it looks more professional, and that way you can use blocks of code, you can number list certain items, and you can make it look really nice so when people come and visit your repository, they'll notice they have a really nice and formatted README file and looks clear, so they can find stuff that they need to find. Alright guys, and also if you go down to the Markdown page on Wikipedia, they have the same thing that I used, and it shows you the breakdown on it and also the output as well. I'll put a link to my repository and also to the Markdown file and also to the Markdown wiki page. Alright guys, thanks for watching, have a good one.